The Holy Gospel according to Mark, the 4th chapter. Glory to you, O Lord. On that day, when evening had come, Jesus said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A great windstorm arose. The waves beat into the boat, so the boat was already being swamped. But Jesus was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. They woke him up, said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" He woke up and he rebuked the wind, said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And then the wind ceased, and there was dead calm. And he said to them, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great awe and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and sea obey him?" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
This is an interesting text, so I'm going to do a little exercise here because there are some things that are contained within the Greek in this text that we don't hear. And some things that I've got a little disagreement with how they've translated it. So I'd invite you to listen again to this gospel. When evening had come, Jesus said to the disciples, "Let us go across to the other side." And having released the crowd, they took Jesus with them in the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A mega squall of wind arose, and the waves were thrown into the boat, so the boat was already being filled. But Jesus was in the stern, asleep on the pillow. And they raised him up, and they said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are being destroyed?" He woke up. He rebuked the wind, said to the sea, "Shut up, put a muzzle on it." And then the wind ceased, and there was a mega calm. Jesus said to them, "Why are you timid? Why'd you lose your nerve? Have you still no faith, no trust in me?" And they feared with a mega fear and said to one another, "Who is this, that even the wind and sea obey him?" It's dark. The wind is howling across the sea, tossing the boat like a child's toy in a bathtub. Water is thrown into the boat almost as quickly as the disciples can throw it back out. It's noisy, chaotic, disorienting, scary time for them. One that felt life-threatening. "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? Do you not care that we're dying here, man?" Now, one of the earliest images for the church is a boat. It's the church being tossed on the sea of disbelief, persecution, derision, and you can find echoes of this symbolism in our church architecture. The main worship space of a church, where you are sitting now between the back wall and the very front, is called not the sanctuary, but the nave. And it comes from the Latin word for ship, navis. And if you look up in some churches at the ceiling and the roof in that space, you'll see that it is shaped very much like an inverted boat. We have echoes of it here a little bit. In my home congregation, you can actually see exposed beams that have the shape of the hull of a ship. So let's run with this ancient image. That the church is a boat in the midst of a culture that certainly has lots of noise, a mega squall of wind and noise, and is more than a little roiled up right now. Social media is constantly in our ears and eyes. Notifications draw us with Pavlovian regularity. We are more connected. We see more. But sometimes it seems we have less time than ever to think, to process, to ponder. Instead, we see images. Children behind fences, separated from parents, talking heads saying God supports this kind of thing, or that this is the end of democracy as we know it, or this is the beginning of the takeover of all that we hold dear. Voices whirl around us in a maelstrom that buffets us, flooding us with information and thoughts quicker than we can throw them back out. And so what we do then is we react, right? We bypass this wonderful brain God has given us, and we go with our gut, our instinct, our emotion. And so this constant barrage of what seems to be bad news, or what he said or she said, or what he said, she said, or the frustrating lack of focus on any real information, all this can too quickly lead us to believe the end is coming. And so we cry out, Jesus, do you not care that we are perishing? We're dying here, man. Now, I wonder if Jesus responded with the immediacy that the disciples wanted. I mean, they're perishing and they want help now. Now, the scripture does not tell us that he threw off his cloak, sprang up from the pillow immediately and went to work. No, it's the disciples who raise him up. Interesting note, it's the exact same language that will be used of Jesus' resurrection. And then after listening to their cry, Jesus gets up and he chides the wind and he says to the sea, "Shut up, knock it off, and put a muzzle on it." And this, interestingly enough, is the exact same language that he uses when he's casting out demons. And this mega tumult of roaring wind and thumping waves turns into a mega calm. We get the sense that it's almost like hitting the mute button, right? You go from full volume to full quiet, from full chaos to full order with just one command. The question of the disciples has been answered, hasn't it? Jesus does care. And he does something. Maybe it's not what they expected. Because I wonder if they were really asking Jesus to help bail the boat. Right? Hey, deal with the sail, put a hand on the rudder, do something practical, man. Something to help us sail through the storm. But instead, Jesus calms the storm. And then he asks him a question. Why'd you go all timid on me? Why'd you lose your nerve? Do you not trust me? How then does Jesus respond to us? To calm the mega tumult in our lives and bring a mega calm. Does he come quickly? Reacting to our own crisis mode, or deliberately, unexpectedly, not responding in the ways we might think by helping us bail, but rather by calming the storm inside of us, if nothing else. Now, I wonder if part of the response for us is just to breathe, deep and slow. To renew the spirit within us, to get our heart rates down. That can be hard. But we got to remember, everything is not something to get outraged over. Everything is not an immediate crisis of life and death. The republic will not crumble in the next minute. Your life will not fall apart in the next 10 seconds. So just breathe. It's hard when we're hurting. Sam had that experience earlier this week. It's hard to breathe when you're hurting. So perhaps one of the things we could do in the midst of those times of storm and tumult is breath prayer. We've done some of this on Wednesdays. I do some of this myself. Breath prayer is this simple. You get a phrase, and you pray this phrase, and as you breathe in, you pray part, and as you breathe out, you pray part. The ones we've done on Wednesdays is you breathe in with be still, and you breathe out and know that I am God. So it's be still and know that I am God. Another one I've prayed is Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And perhaps at some moments when we feel we are perishing, it is the same words the disciples used. Teacher, help me, I am perishing. Perhaps in this deep breathing we can ponder Jesus' question to us. Hey, you going timid on me? You're losing your nerve? Do you not trust me? See, Jesus understands there is danger in storms. Storms on the Sea of Galilee were powerful. At least some of those who were in the boats with him have fished these seas their whole lives. They know the realities. To not work to keep the boat upright, to keep water out, would be foolish. Jesus understands. Children need their parents. Breaking the 8th commandment, ignoring the image of God and others needs to be called for what it is. A lost job, a sick parent, a relationship on the rocks threatens our very lives, certainly as we know them. But the question remains, do you still have no faith? See, the disciples have seen Jesus cast demons out of people, heal Peter's mother-in-law. They've seen him always give life in what he does, work to preserve it. They've heard him promise that following him will not always be easy, but will lead to life fuller and more abundant. And they thought they knew him. But in their distress, they encounter a Jesus who is more powerful than even healing and casting out demons, who can change not only the life of one person, but who can shift the very balance of nature. And it makes them afraid, with a mega fear. Who is this guy that even the basic elements of nature obey him? See, they no longer recognize him. This is not their teacher, their friend who has eaten with them, who they've followed down dusty roads into tiny towns, who's laughed with them, taught them, loved them. This is the Son of the Creator of the universe. This is the voice of God from the whirlwind. Did I not set the foundations of the earth? I wonder if it's only in these moments of crisis that our understanding of who Jesus is, of who God is through Jesus, really comes in focus. That it is in these moments where we get a new sense of the reality of what it means to trust Jesus. Because the moments of that encounter with the sheer power of God in Jesus can be scary. Because Jesus acts to save, not according to what we want. And the power that is shown in those moments is frightening. This experience of Jesus saving us from the storm changes us and our relationship with him in some fundamental way. But there is one thing that I think we and the disciples forgot in that moment. When the mega storms of life are battering us, we forget that Jesus is in the boat with us. Now, it may seem like he's sleeping on the back pew, but he's in the boat. And we are not alone. Because other folks are in the boat too, helping to bail, putting a hand on the tiller. This is the essence of what it means to be church, to be community. And this is the good news. That in the midst of the mega storms of our life, we've got company, including Jesus, the one who has promised us life. Look around, folks. There's a bunch of folks in the boat that is the novice that we are in right now. And so this is what we trust. That together we will get to the other side. We'll have support when we care for a sick parent. We'll have meals to eat, shoulders to cry on, a sympathetic ear, Jesus at our side. And together we will discern what is storm And what is just a lot of sound and fury signifying nothing? What truly threatens those things we hold dear, and what's just another distraction? And so, brothers and sisters, whether the storm that is beating you is a personal one or the noise of this moment in our culture, this right now is a moment to pause, to take a deep breath and let it out. And remember that you are not alone. Jesus is in the boat, and we'll get to the other side. And once we've done that, maybe dipped our hands a little bit in the calming water, had a meal of bread and wine, then we go into this mega storm of a world and invite others that we meet to get out of the water and into the boat. Because there's always room. And Jesus is always with us. Amen.